Alright, we're going to be talking about estimating irrational numbers to the tenths and hundredths. So below you'll see all of our steps, drawing our number line, placing the perfect squares on the number line, placing the integer whole numbers above the perfect squares. These three steps have stayed the same. Everything else is where it gets different. Your whole number will always be your lowest number. Your numerator, you will subtract the given square root and the lowest perfect square. Your denominator, you will subtract the highest and lowest perfect squares. Then you'll change your fraction to a decimal, round to the tenths or hundredths, and write your answer as a mixed number. So our first one, we're going to round to the tenths place. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our number line. Put the square root of 60 in the middle. If we look at our perfect squares chart, we can see that the square root of 60 is between the square root of 49 and the square root of 64. So the square root of 49 will go to the left, and the square root of 64 will go to the right. The square root of 49 is 7, so that whole number is 7, and then 8 will go above 64. Your whole number is always going to be 7. Think of birthdays, because 60 is not yet 64. If you're 16, or if you're 15, you can't drive until you're 16, even if it's the day before your birthday. So now we do, these two will subtract for our numerator, and then these two will subtract for the denominator. So we have 60 minus 49, and then we have 64 minus 49 for our denominator. Bring our 7 over. 60 minus 49 is 11, and 64 minus 49 is 15. Now we need to make this a decimal. We have 11 goes inside the house and 15 goes outside the house. 15 can't go into 11, but it can go into 110 7 times. And 15 times 7 is 105. That leaves us with 5 left over. Add a 0, bring it down. Now we're rounding to the tenths place, so I only need to divide to 2 spots. So 50 goes into 15 3 times, and that gives us 45 with 5 left over. So it looks like this is going to repeat anyways. So we have 7.73 once we divide this out. Now we need to round to the tenths place. Remember, this is your tenths place and this is your hundredths place. We need to underline and look next door. If the number is higher, 5 or higher, this number will round up. But if it's 4 or lower, this number will stay the same. So since this number is lower than 4, we're going to estimate the square root of 60 to be 7.7. Example 2. We have the square root of 13. So we're going to place the square root of 13 in the middle, and then look at our perfect squares chart. If we're looking at our perfect squares chart, we can see the square root of 13 is between the square root of 9 and the square root of 16. The square root of 9 will go to the left. The square root of 16 will go to the right, because larger numbers go to the right and smaller numbers go to the left. The square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 16 is 4. Again, the number to the left, the whole number to the left, will always be your whole number for your irrational number. So again, these two subtract for the numerator, and these two subtract for your denominator. Remember that a fraction is a part out of a whole. This is the partial distance, this is the whole distance. So we have 13 minus 9 over 16 minus 9. We have 13, oops, I forgot to bring my 3 over. Alright, let's bring our 3 whole number over. 13 minus 9 is 4, and 16 minus 9 is 7. Bring our whole number 3 over. We're rounding this one to the hundredths place, so I need to have 3 decimal place values. So again, the numerator goes inside the house, the denominator goes outside. 7 can't go into 4, so we add a decimal, bring it up, and add a 0. Then we see how many times 7 goes into 40. And that's 5 times, and 7 times 5 is 35. Subtract, we have 5 left over. We need to divide again. 7 goes into 50 7 times, which is 49. We have 1 left over. 7 goes into 10 once, so we have 3.571. Again, we underline the hundredths place and look next door. Since this number is lower than 4, the 7 will stay the same. So we can estimate the square root of 13 to be 3.71. And again, with the squiggle is the estimation symbol. You cannot put an equal sign.